So we switched it up today. We wanted to change it up. We came to the lab down in headquarters. We got Larry here.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? What's poppin'?
Um, a lot has changed since last time you seen me. Setup's a little different. We're gonna try this right here. Maybe the sound's gonna be a little better. We have two cameras rolling this time, and we're just gonna get better consistently for you guys. So yeah, when we initially started, I wanted to bring different type of people here so they can talk on their experiences because everybody's a creative at the end of the day. But how are you going to use that creative sense, and how am I going to help you guys out with what I have going on here is the real thing. I'm going to let Larry give you a little bit more of the insight of what he's done a lot of behind the scenes stuff. Little do you guys know, my guy actually was the first person. Well, them and their group was the first people that brought a gun out here to Las Vegas. Show was crazy, immaculate. Of course, there's things that could have improved,
Yeah.
but we'll go ahead and get into that right now.
Yeah. So, hey, Rob. First of all, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, for
White
sure.
guy.
It's been a long time coming for sure.
Yeah. So to be on your platform and be able to speak on my experiences as a creative, us being from the same city is very important to me. So I want to start off with a thank you. So yeah, my name's Larry. I go creatively like by Larry Lamar now. Yeah. So I would say I'm probably like a producer.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Uh-huh.
Let them know where they can find you and find your stuff.
Oh yeah, online it's Larry Lamar, Larry.Lamar, and my first name is spelled backwards. So YRRAL.Lamar, and you'll be able to find me on all socials.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, so like I was saying, by title, I would probably go by producer or project manager. So understanding how to take an idea to completion all the way into whether it's a concert, fashion show, even a album. So I just understand how to manage the artistic process, being an artist myself, understanding other artists, and just being, you know, in artistic fields.
For
Yeah,
sure.
so
Uh, I want to attack something because I know about this story personally,
yeah,
and it was a L, but it was a learning experience.
for sure.
During the Gunna show, I remember you were hitting me up talking about we have this merchandise, we have this collab, it's gonna be popping, get a shirt and stuff. But
Yeah,
because the stuff wasn't done the right way, those shirts weren't able to get sold, right?
yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I mean, intellectual property is very important when it comes to being an artist. You make money off the things that you create in your mind. So when we had made the shirts, we had put the artist's name on the shirt. And as you accumulate fans, your name is a part of your how you make money. So we didn't get it approved with the camp, with the artist camp, just to put his name on the shirt. Now, come to find out, they liked the shirt, but we didn't, since we didn't go through the proper channels and do the proper splits, because when you're dealing with a signed artist, the money just doesn't funnel to him. He has managers, labels, and other things that split the pot. And we had, just out of goodness of our heart and trying to be proactive, we kind of circumvented the system and kind of bit us. So we had printed up probably over 100 shirts, 100 plus shirts that we could not sell. But like you said, it was a learning experience. We was able to not only realize that we have to go through the proper channels when using someone's names and likeness, but also just communicate our intentions and not try to, ambush people. So
And the biggest thing was communication.
communication, yeah.
Communication is key no matter what you do.
Hmm.
Even though you can't do something, if you communicate, a lot of people are willing to work with you, and you don't know unless you ask.
Yeah, exactly. We don't. So it was a missed opportunity, but just the value that we gained from that situation has paid us back a lot, for sure.
You left to Atlanta for a little bit,
Yeah,
came back now. Now you're here.
yeah.
What's a little bit about, tell us a little bit about how you're pivoting from what you used to do and now becoming the full artist that you are.
Yeah, I was more, I would say, before, like when I lived here before, I was more on the brand side. Now I'm more on the artist side. So everything that I do is leaning more towards merchandising versus being a specific brand, because I'm branding myself more as an artist than a brand. So I think that's the main like mental switch behind my creative endeavors, but it's still full on. You know, how can we leverage our creative abilities and release it to the world for sure.
We do that enough, we
Yeah,
burn out.
yeah.
And I know that, you know that. What's some tips or stuff that you can give to people so you won't burn out, or you can help manage that burnout?
So we was talking about this artistic stamina
Yeah.
is something that is very important being an artist because it only takes one good project, one piece of artwork, um, one thing that can take you to the next level using artistry. So having that stamina and understanding, look, I might go for 1,000, but that 1,000 and first project might be the one that pushed me over the hump. It
Yeah.
might gets me recognized as a legitimate artist. It might be the one that allows me to quit my 9 to 5 and do this artistic thing full time. So having that stamina, artistic stamina, to go through the ups and downs is extremely important.
And you have to realize it's a marathon, not a race.
It's
So
not a sprint, yeah.
we have to work on this every single day. If we start chipping it off, before we know it, we're here.
It's a pennant race, man. Every day, like during the dog days of being a creative, you're gonna experience it. You're gonna experience loneliness,
For people that don't really
isolation,
know
all that.
the term too much, explain to them those dog days, because we all have them, but everyone calls them something a little different.
Dog days. So when you have ideas, but you might not have the resources you feel like to execute it, and you're looking for different ways to express yourself, this is where it would challenge you because. And another thing we was talking about latent resources. So it might not look like you have an opportunity, but analyze everything that you consider a resource in your life. If you got a home, maybe you can use your garage as a space to be creative out of. If you have a friendship or relationship with someone that you can gain access to either another relationship that might help you or an area that you can work out of is important. So understanding that through the dog days where you feel like you have ideas and you don't have the resources to execute, keep pushing because those are the moments where you actually become more creative instead of less.
And a lot of times, there's a lot of, how do I say, scrutiny to ask for help. People don't like to ask for
Yeah.
help. And a lot of times, we want to help other people, but they don't know. We have a lot of our friends that we want to help them, they want to help us, but unless we relay that message, we never know.
Yeah, there's no shame in outsourcing. If you have something that you can't execute yourself, but you feel like you can explain it, don't be afraid to outsource. Don't be afraid to ask for help, as you say,
Yeah.
because there's no point in having an idea if you can't execute it. So if you gotta pay, do what you have, offer equity, do what you have to get the idea out into the people where they can understand it, and then you can worry about the fallout. But you got to get it out.
You said something very important, and I wanted to touch bases on. Sometimes it's not the currency. You can pay people with many other ways of payment
Yeah,
that
for
doesn't
sure.
have to be currency. A lot of times people don't understand that there's two ways to learn. You're gonna mess up a lot, and that comes with time, right? Or you pay money and you learn how to do it the right way with programs and set like that with professionals that teach you. So a lot of those times we have everything in front of us.
Yeah, um, and realizing that, I think it might be the hardest part of your journey because the ideas, as long as you lock in, you're gonna come up with more ideas. But understanding the process, that's why I like to focus on the things I do in like producing, because I can understand when an artist has an idea and doesn't have the resources to express it. That's where I could come in and I could put you in a certain room, put you with a producer or engineer or a studio that allows you to express yourself in a different way. And now you're getting the ball whirling, and actually you can actually focus more on your artistry. You're not worried about how can I get this out because you got the help that you need to execute.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then kind of turning towards that, you always have, the skills to execute and stuff, but the days that you have that you can't do things like you said, the dog days, there's always something to do.
Yeah.
There's always something to do. A lot of people say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. And the reason is it's the little things. I always like to tell people it's not what you do what is not what you do in the daylight, but what you do in the dark. So
Facts.
what we do when we get out of the 9 to 5, what are we going to do towards our dream and our goals and stuff
Hmm.
like that? Like for myself, I make clothes, but then I found out that this is something just as important. And we get into doing different mediums. So this right here, video, can be a different medium of art. What you do is a different medium of art. What you have on is a different medium of art. It breaks down to, I think, everything. Everything can kind of get into that.
Hmm.
If yourself, like, what's your favorite mediums right now that you like to mess with?
Medium paint right now, and it just goes back to just studying art, studying like the great masters of art, like someone like Degas or fucking a lot of Renaissance artists, like to understanding like art, because you paint in layers, so understanding like you have a base layer, then you have outlines, then you layer on the color. So understanding art from a slower perspective, I think has helped me with my photography, because I see subjects different, I see people different. After attempting to draw people, you see angles differently, and it just puts your mind in a different process. So right now, the medium I've been exploring recently is definitely paint, and even different oil paint versus watercolors versus acrylics, how they all flow on different mediums, whether it's cardboard, wood, canvas. Um, it might seem simple, but the possibilities are literally endless
It's
when you
so
have
it's
paint in the
so
canvas.
simple, but at the same time so complex.
It is, exactly. Shading, you can do so much with just black and white. By mixing black and white, the grayscale you can get into, the different shades of gray, and it's just two colors that you're using, and you can tell a full story. So that and this, I've been doing a lot of black and white photography lately, which when you take the color out of something, you focus more on form.
You have to focus on the substance of what you're looking
Exactly.
at.
It's not, certain things are not jumping out at you. Different things come into focus, like the expressions or eyes. You just notice eyes a little sharper in black and white because other things are distracting you. And yeah, I think those two mediums, painting on different mediums, whether it's t-shirts, canvases, and then my film photography, focusing mainly on black and white, has definitely informed my artistry a lot as of late.
With that being said, any new ones that you've been thinking about dabbling in?
New mediums.
Yeah.
Um, I want to explore more with sound, not in the sense of me being an artist or artistry, but whether it's adding sound to different posts, adding auditory like voiceovers, whether it's like I'm saying something meaningful or inspirational, or just even designing different vibes, because sound is multidimensional,
Yeah.
and it interacts differently with the space versus simply just or light. Light and sound interact with spaces differently. So designing a sound is probably something next I'll be thinking into for sure.
And it's crazy because there's a lot of jobs in sound that people don't even know exist.
Yeah.
I know you know about scoring a film, but a
Yeah.
lot of people don't know what that means. No, it doesn't
Yeah.
mean scoring points.
Nah, not
It's
at
it's
all.
talking about the
Yeah.
music that goes into the movie, and that can change the movie dramatically.
Hmm.
You can't have an intense moment with some uplifting music, then that's gonna
It's gonna
ruin
ruin everything. The
ruin the
climax.
vibe, ruin the mood.
Yeah.
So sound has a lot we have to do, and it's involving so much. Even like Adobe Atmos, what's it called? Adobe. I can't even say the word. It's on the tip of my tongue. Atmos. So
Hmm.
what that is, it's the 3D sound. So person who kind of does that now is PlayStation. So when PlayStation 5 first released their headsets, they had the 3D sound.
Hmm.
Crazy because you could
fully
You
immersed.
fully immersed. You
Yeah.
can hear stuff behind you.
That's why movie theaters still are alive, because there's still not an exact experience that could replicate a theater with the dynamic of sound combined with the large projection.
Yeah.
It's still a very unique experience going to a movie theater. And even with the advent, even after the fallout of COVID, where they pretty much didn't have a business, and with the explosion of the streaming services, people still go to the movies. I mean, a lot less, but it offers an experience that is immersive, and sound is probably the biggest reason behind that.
Yeah. I've been trying to dabble in a little more mediums as well. One that kind of does what I'm doing now, but still switches up the game for me. I want to do posters, but screen print posters.
Yeah, that's
Don't
dope.
paint them, screen print them.
That's dope.
So I have this design that we have right now that I wanted to go with you. Maybe we can, if we have time, we can go ahead and cook it up now, even, you know?
Facts.
But something like that, that they're going to see later on, I want to make it. And I got a lot of inspiration from that one. So from this design that I have, I got inspiration through a lot of older pop culture. So for me, it feels more 2000. The
Yeah.
paints, the buckets, the gradients.
Mhm.
It's not about always the real like not word message, but colors can also show a big message. So I wanted to print something that shows different shades that you can wear with anything. It's not just a one, how do I say, one palette type deal.
Yeah.
We'll go into it a little bit more, but before we do anything else, is there anything you wanted to add on or have something you wanted to tap into?
Um, yeah, like when you're starting a brand, understand your audience. Knowing your audience, who you want to sell to, who you want to be as a creative, I think is very important, because I think a lot of people make their brand based off themselves, but you're not going to be the only customer. You're not going to be a customer of your brand at all. You're literally not going to buy your own clothes after you make them. You're going to give them to yourself for free. So understanding the people who are actually going to spend their hard-earned money on your brand is something that should focus on now versus later, because if you don't have an audience to sell to, you won't have sales.
Something I want to add on to that, a good point is just cater with what you have now. The grass is greener where you water it. A lot of
Very
people
true.
a lot of people want to switch ships, but if you just work at what you have, you're gonna get better at it. And there's no reason to chase the people who aren't chasing you. That's kind of messed up. So think about your customers are following you, and you're following the people who aren't following you. That makes no sense. Why not make it easier for them to follow you, pave the road, and cater more towards them? So then at the end of the day, you'll get more. What did I say? You get more results that way. Actually,
Yeah, yeah, and
water your own grass.
yeah, the people that's not paying attention to you, they will eventually do it, because you're focused more on executing your exact vision, and now it gives them something to cheer for. So
And guys, don't forget to be yourself. Everybody messes with you for a reason, because you're yourself. Once you start acting like the next person or want to be into the next trend, that goes the genuine feeling that you're giving out. So be yourself. Don't switch up for anybody. It's okay to evolve. Everybody evolves, becomes better, but don't change at the expense of somebody else. Be yourself.
every day, every time.
I mean, if you got time, so we can cook up this design.
Come on, let's get it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Bet.
All right, guys. While we were out, I was busting my ass making all these screens right here. Basically, what we were doing, we're making these films and burning them into the screens. Each one's a separate color, but I'm gonna try something I haven't tried before. Get out of my comfort zone. What I'm gonna do is wet on wet, basically merge these colors together so I can get the whole array of colors that I'm trying to show here. What this is, it's a little paint buckets what I got in the back, which is pretty dope. So let's get this shit together and see what this shit comes out like.
Let's get it.
So basically what we're doing right here is just we're gonna line up the first screen, tape out the edges, and we have the crosshairs. So basically from the crosshairs, we do the first one, dry it, put the next one, line it up to the crosshairs, and kind of keep that process going throughout the end. And by the end of the time, we have a beautiful design.
But what makes this wet on wet process different from other prints that you've done?
Before, the way that this is different is what it sounds like. It's the wet ink on wet ink. Normally, I'll dry the ink and then put the next color and then go for it.
And with dry ink, it allows you easier for next color, next coat, usually.
You see, I'm not a master. I'm a student.
Yeah.
So at this point, we're learning together. So I've done the drawing, and I suppose from what I know that it doesn't. It's harder for it to kind of stick on the top, and it goes for a cleaner print. But what we're trying to do is kind of merge the colors together. So I think the wet on wet will look better. And it's my first time trying it, so I'm excited too.
All right, so stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
So what makes registration difficult for a job like this?
Not difficult,
All right.
but
What challenges
crucial.
does it? Yeah, what challenges does it present?
It's not really a challenge. It's more or less of a tool. So it's cool because a lot of people, work without them, or they make their own registration marks. It's basically just pinpointing lining up everything together. But what makes it kind of difficult, I mean, to your point, there is a little something, is the more that you do, the more that you're off.
Exactly. And each one of these screens need to be
Adjusted so you can get minimal overlay. Nothing's perfect. Even the stuff that you find at the stores, at the malls, like there's some imperfections.
course, yeah.
But that's what makes that shirt that shirt. The way I look at it. Sometimes in my clothes, you might get a little paint splatter somewhere. And I'm the type of person to leave that on there because that's how you know it was handmade. Handmade stuff is it's a dying art form.
any further exploration into that theory, why you feel such a way?
Everything's going digital. Of course, you need the operator to operate it.
I
as
like
well.
that, digital. I found myself living a more analog life myself as well. More nature, more
More
just things that
attached to your roots.
not necessarily have a screen,
For sure.
So that's an interesting take for any artist that are, maybe looking for inspiration or want to focus in more on your execution. Think about living a more analog life, or
But I think it's kind of it repeats
analog
itself.
elements.
I feel like it repeats itself. Like right now, everybody wants that genuine feel. Not too long ago, everybody wanted to act like they were professionals, off rip. So, substance always has a way to
Recycle, maybe.
and show itself. You can tell when something's not genuine. But yeah, as far as you go, the more you go, the less, the harder it is to line these puppies up.
All right.
And the reason I'm doing it like this is I want to do the lighter color to the darker color. So I'm doing yellow right here, then there's going to be green right here, then that's blue, and then finally red, then blue.
And what's the explanation behind going lighter to darker?
Well, for me, I'm
wet on
thinking
wet
the way that I'm thinking and my brain's working right now is when the paints merge, you wouldn't want to do a darker one then merge with the lighter one. Then it's gonna mess with the color more. And then also I'm following the CMYK. I feel like it's basically the same process. If it's in that order, it should go in that order, right?
Bet.
Remember, this is my first time too. So we doing this shit together. Boom. All right. In other words, bucket. All right. Two. My hands, my hands look like this, so your clothes can look like this. All right. The grand reveal. Mm, I like it, but I'm gonna try something else. Now that I have all the colors and everything, I'm gonna wipe it all off. I might have to hit the black. I think I have to hit the black second. I mean, I like it though, guys. We're gonna try something else, but all right, guys. Put a little bit of the tack. Let's put the shirt on. It's gonna be the back of it, so make sure it's straight. Make sure it's cool. Boom, boom, boom. So I figured it out. It's black flash, then the rest on wet. So boom, 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 bow. And I already messed up. No, it's fine. You can keep recording. You're still recording, right? Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna run it through so you guys can see where I messed up, or if you guys can figure it out before I say it. But you know, you mess up at least one shirt one time. I'm just gonna run this all the way through and keep it as a memory. All right, let's check if it's dry. Perfect. So now the rest of it's gonna be on wet. And I'm not using a base just because it's a lighter shirt, and I low-key like how it looks like this. Green. Let's pass that one more time. Good. And then you see it coming alive, but now this right here is gonna make everything pop. And there it is, guys. And for the people that guessed the registration marks, you are correct. Need the tape.